What an exciting thing to say. I don't know. I'm out of breath again. Megan, will you just tell if you can hear? Yeah, you can hear. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Just thumbs up if you can, or thumbs down if you can't. Hi. So today I am super excited to be chatting with super amazing, well-known actor, race car driver, and also U.S. Ski and Snowboard Foundation Board of Trustees member, which has been very, very exciting for us, Patrick Dempsey. So Patrick is actually currently in Ireland. He's filming a new movie, Disenchanted, which they said we could say this. Disenchanted, which is the sequel to Enchanted. So that's been like several years since, quite a few years, 10 I think, since that movie came out. And I remember watching and loving it. So I'm actually personally very excited for this new movie. And he's just in Ireland doing that. So cool. I'm home in Colorado, which is nice. And we're going to be chatting about everything from his current project to the Jeff Shiffrin Athlete Resiliency Fund and the upcoming Olympics and beyond. So just going to see if he knows where I have to actually do something. I'm going to see if I can find where he's... Nope, that's not the right button. Oh, here we go. Andrew East requested. Hi, sorry, not today. We are just... This is awkward for you, I know. Just hang tight with me. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm looking for one person. Everybody needs to stop requesting. Sorry. No, my veins are popping out. Oh no. Hi.
Hey, you did it. There you go. We made it.
We made it. We made it. How's Ireland?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really amazing. I've never been here before, so I've been here for about a little over a month.
Oh, nice.
Today, but usually it's rainy and the clouds are always moving through and the weather's fantastic. Wonderful. I walked, everybody's like, how are you, Patrick? How's it going? How's the shoot? I'm like, everybody knows me.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
sounds like they're all friendly too. Not in a, they know you in a good way, not in a weird way.
No, in a really good way. People are very open. It feels like a small town.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I've only been to Scotland, and they probably don't like to, but they're both, up north and kind of a similar look, at least. And it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful area. It never makes an Irish with a Scottish.
Definitely. I had to quarantine for like 2 weeks, so I was up north outside of Belfast, and you could look over and you could see Scotland.
Yeah. Oh, it's really, that's cool. How long are you there for? You're there for a while, huh?
July, first part of August, possibly.
Okay. So quite a bit longer.
Yes, I've got some time off.
And then you'll be done with the movie?
Yes, finished with the movie.
I'm really excited for it to come out.
15 years ago, we made the original.
It was 14.
Yeah. And this, so we're a little bit older now. And it's fun because I'm singing and dancing in this one. The last one I didn't, so I get to do all that stuff in this. And I've been really having a great time.
That sounds super fun. Oh, cool. Oh, I'm very excited.
First time, so that's been interesting. I've never done anything quite like this.
Well, cool. That's exciting. Yeah. That's saying a lot. And how are the race cars going?
You get a little, you sing out loud, you get this really great feeling when you're singing. Well, you sing, you do all that stuff.
Yeah, it feels so good, but and then I hear it and I'm like, oh, it feels a little less good to listen to it. but it feels great to do it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we'll record the song and then we play it back when we do the singing and the dancing routines. So it's always a bit surreal when you hear your voice in
Yeah.
playback, you're lip syncing to it.
Yeah.
But it's a new experience. I've never done it before. So that's what's really been the most interesting part of this whole thing after returning 14 years later and doing something new like this. So it's good.
Yeah. That's cool. Fun. I'm really excited to see it. And I don't know if you say congratulations yet or what, but that's super cool.
I think it'll probably to come out fall 2022. I think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, it takes a while to edit it all together, huh?
Yes, and they have to do all the animation as well, so that's going to take some time.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, just us impatient little Disney freaks over here are ready for it.
Not worry about the outcome. I think that's been sort of my headset and mantra on this experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool.
So here we've been wanting to do this for a while, and we finally got a chance in our schedules to be able to connect.
Yeah, I know. It's what is it, like 6 months or something? We're like, is this gonna work? Nope, not yet. But here we are. So thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
And you're in Colorado?
I'm in Colorado. Home
camp, right? Preparation camp yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah. I just finished training in Copper Mountain, and it's crazy. It's almost mid-June and the conditions were amazing. Yeah, it's super cool. Copper sort of made this little race camp happen last year, and a bunch of clubs were here, and it was like just saving us in the pandemic because nobody could ski, and obviously there's limited space, but made it work last year. And then this year they had worked really well. We're trying to do it again, and everyone's so excited. So I'm just like crossing my fingers that this is something we keep doing for the next years to come, because it's incredible to stay at home, train in the morning. We're training from 6 to 8:30 in the morning, and now I'm done training, but so it's kind of early wake ups, 4 a.m. wake ups, but that's not like, you just get used to that. You go train, you come back, you have the rest of the day, and it's like kind of winter and then you're in summer, and I really like that contrast. So it's cool.
That inform you going into, you've got like the next 9 weeks of conditioning camp, right? So what do you take away at the end of the season? What's your takeaway? What do you take with you into the summer to work on from what you just finished doing?
Well, a lot of the stuff I'm working on in skiing is just super technique based. It's really fine tuning. And there's some of the feeling that I get when I'm on my skis that I can try to work on in the gym. If it's like getting kind of more pressure on my outside ski, then I can sort of imagine when I'm doing any sort of weightlifting or core workouts, like I might have a band pulling me to one direction, and I'm sort of trying to resist those forces and using my, like what would be my outside ski, pushing against that to sort of get the feeling in like ski specific movements off of snow. So that is something that I work on. And then the rest of it is just basically trying to, like, I'm fit right now, but it's getting stronger. Like I have a sort of a base, and then the next 9 weeks are about building up my strength again. Normally during the season, there's not a lot of time to do a lot of strength training or any conditioning. So it's like you're very ski specific strong in the winter. And then after the winter, you have to get like just full on overall fitness strong again, and then go back and ski in the winter. And then it just, I don't know, it's a little bit of a balancing act.
Seems like it never ends. You have to be on it all the time.
Yeah. Well, you can't, if you stop for any amount of time, even if it's like a 2-week vacation, because I was just in Maui for 2 weeks. And even if you don't train at all there just for 2 weeks, you come back and you're like, I can't even walk up a set of stairs. I don't know. So it has to be kind of ongoing. So it's like every morning do a little bit of something. It's not always the highest intensity, highest volume training days or conditioning days, but it's pretty much always something.
Right.
But it feels good. Like we kind of, I don't know. I get paid to work out, so.
Well, how do you motivate it? I mean, now you've achieved so many things. You're going into an Olympic year, so that's a big thing, and
Yeah.
you're getting gold medal, so you got a lot there. You've been through a lot in the last year, so what's your motivation goals going into this season?
Oh gosh, yeah. I kind of, I'm normally like, well, I just gonna just keep riding the train. But last season was incredible, but it was also, I don't know, I felt like the whole season I was just feeling it out and trying to figure out kind of my place in the sport again. And had some really good skiing, some really amazing races, and also some races where I was just, we talked before the season started. And I remember saying, like, one of the biggest things I have had trouble with is focusing and having this focus. And like through an entire ski run or even through the entire day for a race day, that was something I was worried about. And it turned out it was difficult to, like, I'd have a smashing first run, and then the second run I was just, I don't know, kind of fell apart. And so this season, I'm looking to and especially this summer, I'm looking to keep working on not only conditioning training, but also like sort of mental training, or mental conditioning, like not just focus, but length of focus, and how I build kind of my intensity and how I'm able to hold that through race days. And that should all lead up really well into the Olympics as well. And at that point, if I'm taking care of my skiing technique and what I'm doing in the gym and what I'm doing with my mind, then the results will be as good as they possibly can be. So that's kind of where my head's at right now.
Yeah, because your coach, Mike, he's
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
grew up on the same mountain, this little mountain in Lewiston, Auburn, Maine, called Lost Valley. He went to Carabasset, and then I couldn't believe what a small world it was. And I touched base during the season to see how things were going along. And we talked a lot about that, of like the mental approach of like two run. He's such a coach.
He was, okay, totally such a coach. I mean, all my coaches are they're total geeks, and it's great. And yeah, he was telling me that you were sending him messages all season, and he was like, Patrick just sent me a message, I've got to go reply. It was really funny. So that was super cool. I mean, you've been so amazing to have as just like a full US ski and snowboard supporter, and it's been really exciting. And especially at this time, I can't tell you, like, part of the reason we started the Jeff Shiffrin Athlete Resiliency Fund was for the message of getting, like, I don't know, getting some hope out there during a really difficult time for the entire world. And I felt like you're getting involved with US ski and snowboard. Just people were like, wow, this is like, people want to see us compete and they want to see us work hard. So we're going to do this, and we're going to like stay strong through it and stay resilient. And it was just I don't know. I just want to tell you that.
Right. It's an honor for me to be a part of the team in that way and to be a trustee and help in any way I can. But I was just blown away about the level of performance across the board with everybody on the team, from the snowboarders, the freestyle, all that, and the racers. I mean, a lot of people really stepped up. There were a lot of big injuries. There were a lot of comebacks that people have to come through this summer and get into the condition for the fall. But it was really impressive, the results that the overall team had with all of the adversity going through it. And resilience is about, turning things around, staying positive, and, having good turns. And people were doing a great job. I mean, it was really nice to see the whole team and the momentum everybody had carrying each other through the season.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was like every single weekend to the point of like the US ski and snowboard, the Instagram page was just blowing up with, they were like, we can't keep up with the highlights because everybody was doing so well. And it was not the first time, but it was kind of, in my memory, the first time where it was like multiple athletes in each individual sport, multiple athletes within that sport, like not just one single athlete who was like getting all the attention or getting all of the results. And in Alpine, we had, I mean, like different podiums from a bunch of different athletes, highlights, fastest runs, like across the board. And then you look like you said, it was in sports all across the whole organization. So it was cool for like, I can't speak for everybody, but I think it's the same way for all the athletes. For me, being able to see how successful everybody was as a whole, because we compete in like individual sports. There are some team elements like with parallel GS or team event or whatever it is, but they're individual sports, but we practice as a team. So it's this weird balance of, you know, hey, you're my teammate, but you're also my competitor. And I felt like this year it was such a cool balance of like, you're my teammate, you're my competitor, but I'm so happy for your success, even if it's like better than what I've done. And it's just motivating me to do better. And rather than having like, it's easy to have an environment where you kind of tear each other down because you want to be the best. I felt like it was such a positive environment, and you could see it across the board. And I don't know, I was inspired by like watching Jessie compete, and it was just super cool this year.
A lot of people stepped up, and you were talking about the conditioning. I mean, they had such strength going into it, physical strength, that really helped them mentally at the races. How do you keep that culture moving forward going into the Olympics, do you think?
I mean, I think it's kind of, once you have a taste of how good it feels to put in the work, but also have the results represent the work you've done, it's a little bit like, well, it's just going to keep doing this. It's difficult when you're like I said, we're in season, we're more of a maintenance strength program. And last year we couldn't really train on snow during the summer. So most of us got a longer strength block than we've ever had before. And unless there was an injury involved, it was like all of these athletes went into the season stronger than they've ever been, because all they've been doing is working out and didn't have even a 2-week break for a camp in Chile where you're sleeping at 12,000 and all you can really do is ski in the morning and then just recover for your next day. So that was, I think that like going into the season, everybody just being that much more conditioned was amazing. And hopefully that's a thing we can all take into this season as well, but also take advantage of some of the time we can get on snow, because that's something we missed last year. So I'm trying to find that really good balance. But like I said, once you have a taste of what that work does for you, and you know, it's also like a bunch of stars aligning with timing, with the kind of team, all the different, like the kind of athletes we have within our teams right now, and the supportive environment that we're all part of. It's like all of these things mesh together, and all of a sudden your momentum becomes your teammates' momentum, and your excitement is their excitement, and you start to really lift each other up. And I feel like I think it was the first time where I felt that crossing sports too. Like I said, you know, watching like Tess Johnson compete, or seeing Jess's success this year, and just being like, that's giving somehow that your success in a totally different sport is giving me a little bit extra of a lift for my coming races. So
what's really good is like also, because this gets into the resiliency and everything, is the mental aspect is so important. And you had so much isolation. Like this year, I was in quarantine over 30 days, right? I go from project to project. You know, you think you're living in Europe, it's this sort of glamorous lifestyle, but there's so much isolation involved in it, and travel. I mean, and we look what happened at the French Open. The mental, we're talking more and more about the mental aspect of sport, and supporting each other that way. How do you think the U.S. ski team is doing with that program? What can be improved there? And also in other sports, because mental wellness, everybody's been really struggling this year with COVID. How do you think that's working? Is there room for improvement there? What do you need as an athlete to support you? Because you were talking about getting 2 runs put together. That's a mental approach.
Yep.
So
yeah, well, US ski and snowboard I found to be, especially over these last few years, placing a lot of emphasis on the mental side. And we have sports psychologists with the organization that you can talk to at any point. You can also seek out your own help from maybe somebody else if you have a preference. But what I found through this season, especially this season, and I think it's going to continue, is that athletes and staff were really reaching out to each other. Maybe it's partially because of my dad passing away, but I got a bunch of messages from teammates just checking in, from staff saying, no pressure, but here's my number. Just if you're ever just wanting to talk or say something or anything, like we're here to help. There's a lot of different resources that we have access to, and they're making an effort to make those resources more available and easier to access. But it also a lot of it comes from your personal motivation to fix whatever it is that you're struggling with. And that's something that nobody can push you into. And something I've found in my own situation is that it took a lot of time for me to even want to speak to a sports psychologist. And I still don't want to speak to a psychologist about the grief side of things. I only want to talk about specifically how I can handle myself better with races and the focus and specific to sports, because it still feels like just the sort of judgmental environment of, oh, that girl's fatherless, and somehow, and I know that's more my perception than anything, but that's the kind of thing, people deal with it in their own way, and it takes, you as a person have to take the first step, but you also have to know where to go. And I do feel like US Ski and Snowboard is doing a good job of getting those resources out there, making an effort to make sure the athletes know where they can go, who they can talk to, or just I don't know, talking to your teammates. And we had one of the girls on the Alpine team this year has come out speaking about an eating disorder, and she ended up having to take the season off because she needed to get treatment for that. And she's been incredibly open with her teammates about how that process works and what things we say that can be triggers for her, and just in general, trying to get the message out there for other people who are struggling with the same thing. I think that there's a lot of that in this pandemic, and it's been cool to see the openness, but that's definitely, it is a big topic. It's a big issue right now, and it's something that hopefully more people address more and more.
Yeah, I think you have to. You have really great athletes that are functioning at a very high level, but at the same time, very much human beings who are deeply flawed as well. And at the end of the day, after the race, you come home and you have to look at yourself and you have to deal with your demons. And you don't need to be alone in that, no matter what that is. And I think that's important. Certainly as a trustee, I want to keep pushing that forward. I think really to support that. And also, too, with the athletes who are retiring and going out of that, your identity is lost. You're like, who are you? And making that decompression and finding out, okay, what's my next step in life? And for you, I mean, how important is the legacy of all the people who have come before you? Do they reach out to you? I think it's healing on both sides, the athletes who are in their prime and also the athletes who have come before you, especially all the women that have come before that. I mean, the women's record is phenomenal. What achieved, you really have blown the men out of the water. I mean, and I say this respectfully to the guys, but people should realize that the level of wins and the competition from the very beginning has been incredible. How much of that has influenced you? How much do they reach out to you? Do you guys communicate in that way? What's that like?
Yeah, in some way. I wouldn't say it's like a constant flow of communication, but it's everybody who, and like anybody who's come before me or whoever came before them, you create an environment, and that's the biggest thing, like the greatest legacy that you leave for those behind you. And the most immediate thing is the environment that you're, or the atmosphere that you're creating. And like, I want it to be something that's uplifting, that's inclusive, that's helping whatever young athlete out there who's racing their first World Cup race, and maybe they're not even on the US ski team yet. So they're just, you know, they got a jacket that's a little too big because that's all that was available. And they're just out there like, I don't know where the bathroom is even. So how much, you know, it's so overwhelming. You step into this sort of World Cup environment for the first time. And that's something that even I have grown almost like numb to because I've done it for a while. But when I go to a new venue, it's like, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. And that's what our youngest athletes who are just stepping into the scene for the first time, that's how they feel every step of the way. And I remember that's how I felt my first two to 3 years on the World Cup. It was like just exhausting trying to keep yourself together, let alone actually compete and have success and really like prove your potential. So that kind of legacy of like not only success, but also providing a comfortable environment so that you can go out of your comfort zone. That's one of my main goals. And I think that's something that like the women have achieved over the years. But like I said, it's just, I don't know, it's what everybody brings to the table. And in every single moment, you have to choose to be basically open-minded, trusting, honest, and inclusive, and really hardworking, and holding each other accountable as well as holding yourself accountable. And then you create this environment that's like, we all work hard. We all want the same thing. I know that you want to beat me. You know that I want to beat you, because we all want to win. And like the best way we're going to be able to accomplish that is if we work together and we support each other, because there's plenty of other like people who are trying to take us down, but we can make a bubble and we can make this happen. And that's like, I feel like that's a place where we are right now. It's pretty cool.
And then the level has come up so much. I mean, last year was so competitive. All the other nations, all the other teams, all the girls were stepping up, and really it was great racing. As an observer, it was great because you didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, and certainly slalom was very competitive, and your speed events were great. The worlds were fantastic. There was so many things that happened that were unexpected in that.
Yeah.
That sort of, that fellowship, that camaraderie with all the different teams. It is an individual sport in many ways. It's not a team sport. You know, it's you in the mountain and you and yourself battling yourself down there. But how is it with all the different nations in that aspect of it?
It's pretty cool. Like when I first started racing the World Cup, I realized how much it's like as you go up the ranks, you sort of weed out the drama as you get to that level. And for sure, there's still drama and rivalries and all of that. But it just, you have the top level athletes who have worked the hardest to get where they are. And, you know, they have a lot of support and all of these pieces came together. But when you're competing against the other absolute greatest skiers in the world, it's just fairly obvious that you're just all trying to ski the fastest. The goal is, it's not like, for me at least, what I found is it's not about, I don't know, like who said what, this some catty thing. It's just like, we're all out here and we're all just trying to be the fastest down the mountain. And that's clear. That's the end game. So that kind of makes it easier. It's almost less dramatic, and it's easier to then be friends with your competitors. And for my first few years, I was a lot more maybe shy, but also just generally like focused and intense. And I've had athletes say like, I didn't know if I could really talk to you because, you know, if we're at bib draw, you're a little more quiet. And I realized like just being shy, like just over the years, trying to come out of my shell and just talk with the other athletes more has been actually an incredible experience. Being able to like text Wendy Holdner and just be like, hey, what's up? How's your summer going? Or, you know, we're replying to Michelle Gassine on a post that she's doing windsurfing in Lake Garda, or checking in on like Martina after World Cup finals about how her ribs were doing, whatever it was, just like, hey guys, how we doing here? And it makes it almost like a reunion at the beginning of the season when we're all back and racing again. It's like cool to see everybody. With the understanding that like it's a competitive environment and not always like ideal, and there are rivalries, and that's how it goes. But it's just cool. It's a cool place to be and compete for sure.
Yeah, the sportsmanship is really important. You want someone who you just get fired up when you see them. You're like, I want to beat that person. There's always someone either at the racetrack that was your competitor that you knew could be faster than you and that you had to prove yourself. But it made you work harder. It made you appreciate the wins. It made you appreciate their ability as well. And I think right now, the world that we're living in, we've lost a little bit of that sportsmanship that we need to honor again moving forward. You have to be ruthless. You have to be tough. You have to be a killer when you need to be. But at the same time, you got to be loving and sort of a sports person at the same time. And that's an important value to be showing to the world, I think. And you do that. And I think a lot of the athletes, it's nice to see, especially after a race, whether you've had a good run or not, when people come up to congratulate each other, it's really nice to see. It's noticed on screen. Certainly when you're watching the world feed, those moments mean a lot. And certainly when an athlete takes the time with a younger person coming up to them, it's very moving to see, which is what I see you doing, which is really nice.
Thanks. Yeah, a lot of it is like something that even the cameras don't catch, but it's just the I don't know, behind the curtains moments when you're like, hey, you know, is there anything you need? And they're like, actually, I really need to go to the bathroom. I don't know. I keep bringing that up, but it's just like a metaphor for you go someplace, you're supposed to do your job, you're supposed to work hard, and you can't find the bathroom. Like, that's the most annoying thing ever, you know? So it's like, that's my metaphor for life. It's like, step one, find the bathroom. Step two, do your job. So anyway.
It's good. So I know we're running a little bit long, but I want to get into the foundation and certainly resiliency. And we're coming up on Father's Day, and this leads into like the three things your dad would always tell you. What was that?
Be nice. Think first. Yeah. Be nice. Think first. Have fun.
There you go. So going into Father's Day for all of us, and I lost both my mother and my father when I was very young. And there's always moments that trigger you, that think you, and certainly you think about the good things on Father's Day of like, what are the lessons that I learned? What are the things that I take away? Of all of those things going into it, certainly honoring him with the Resiliency Fund. How did that come about? And what are the things that you are now, they're deep inside of you, they're living in you, that you take away with you this Father's Day?
Yeah, well, the Resilience Fund, it started out just as an idea of how we could support the athletes of US ski and snowboard through this kind of turbulent time. And every industry was affected by COVID. So I don't think you can say one person was hit harder than the other. But for sure, snow sports was impacted a lot. And it was a worry if we were going to be able to this season. If there were competitions, were we going to be able to like afford to actually make that happen? And kind of a preemptive strike or not preemptive, but during the situation, trying to manage it and help out the athletes. And also one of the maybe the most important part of it for me was telling the story, these kind of resilient stories, my own stories from the other athletes, reaching out to like just fans, just anybody everybody has experienced some level of resiliency in their life, and most, like, everybody actually has that on a daily basis. I feel like resiliency is almost synonymous with being human, because everybody's going through something. So just reminding people that they are resilient, and sometimes you don't feel that way. Like, I feel like often in the moment when you are showing strength, you don't feel strong. And a lot of people feel just not strong, but seeing somebody else show that resilience kind of lifts you up and gives you a little bit of extra. So it was like, when I feel weak, you give me your strength. When you feel weak, I give you mine. And we can lift each other up in that sense. And just talking about it alone was uplifting for me. And that was a big process, or just kind of a journey to go through, just for me personally. And it touched a lot of people. We got amazing feedback about sort of the message that we were sending, as well as from a lot of the athletes, for the support the Resiliency Fund gave them. And it's something that we want to continue to work with. So we definitely have some exciting news coming up. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about it around Father's Day. And it's been a cool conversation, and I want to keep that going.
Good. Yeah, I think, there's so much lost this year. So many people we've lost along the way with COVID and other things. And you've had a experience with it. What's your advice with people who have lost someone very close to them right now?
Oh, gosh. Well, when in the immediate, like when I was flying home with my mom from Munich to try to make it to the hospital, when basically to say goodbye to my dad, it was just a really weird time. Definitely a lot of crying. I don't know. I guess you can imagine it, and most people can probably, I don't know, just imagine the waiting game of trying to get on a flight from Munich to Denver, 10 hours waiting to see your dad for the last time, and he wasn't responsive. So it was just, okay, we're going to say goodbye, and we know this is coming. I'm never going to forget it, and it's something that I would want to forget. But one thing that happened when we were at the airport was Bodie was there randomly. He was in Europe, and he was flying home on the same flight, and he saw us and just came over and gave me a hug. He had no idea what was going on, but he, I don't know, sensed it or saw that our eyes were puffy and red or whatever it was. And we sort of told him what happened. And of course, he's had his own personal experience with a lot of heartbreak and loss. And in that time, I didn't really realize it then, but this is the advice I would give somebody, is when you look around you, most people have lost somebody. And it doesn't make you feel better. You feel really alone, but most people have lost someone, maybe multiple people. They maybe lost their entire family, and they maybe lost them yesterday. But it's like, you can look around and find some strength in that. And I saw it in Bodie, that you're not okay, but it's going to be okay. And that's just a small little bit of, like, so many people were saying, this is never going to get better. You're going to miss him forever. And it's true. You're going to miss them forever, but it's going to be okay. So that just was something that I kind of hung on to. I was like, if he's doing this, then I have to. It's going to just have to be okay. And then also just finding something to keep busy is very helpful.
Yes. Yeah, the pain never goes away. It just gets better over time. You can deal with it. But yeah, You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to tell my mother, I need to tell my father this, and they're not there, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just had that thought. But they are with you. They are with you in the memories that you have with them, the teachings that they've given you, and they're around you. The spirits are around you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, now I'm just thinking about that. Oh gosh, it's so cool to talk to you. Jeez.
It's beautiful what you're doing. I mean, certainly on the mountain, who you are as a person, and also the foundation and the memory of your father. And also, you've got someone next to you, I'm sure, your mom. How's she doing?
She's, oh, no, she's crying. She's here.
Hi, Mom. Nice to.
Now that I'm bawling, I can come and say hi.
Well, you look fantastic. It's good to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much for helping out the team and for doing this with Mikaela. Yeah, a lot of good info there, you two, especially in that last part. I think people will.
I've been reading the comments, and people are, it's funny. One thing, like, yeah, I think people are really, this is cool. And I love reading the comments. But some people, including Megan, who's here in the background.
I'm going to get out and let you guys.
Nice.
Well, how do you feel about people calling you McDreamy?
I don't think I'm ever going to get past that. So I had to come to terms with that really early on. It's better than another word or something else. But the problem is you have to carry that, right? You have to be McDreamy for people. So there's a burden of carrying that expectation every time someone sees you. And I don't want to disappoint. But there are days when you're like, oh my God, I'm certainly not McDreamy. I'm having my own issues and I'm struggling, but it makes me become a better person when I hear it, where I have to go, okay, where are my flaws? Take a good look at it in the mirror and go, okay, this is what I need to work on. And I have a lot to work on. And it's been a real blessing in that sense of like, it keeps me honest with myself. It keeps me working on myself in order to improve, to become that. But it's tough, and I'm never gonna, that's gonna always be around. So there's no sense of, I just have to lean into it and embrace it. And it's opened up so many doors for me. The power of television, the power of that relationship. I think on screen, people really love that couple of Meredith and Derek. And I was very fortunate to do that character for such a long time. I just hope, for myself, I can do other things where I'm being challenged, where I'm getting in that place where I'm feeling uncomfortable. I think that's what racing was so important for me during the course of doing Grey's Anatomy and being able to get to Le Mans, to do all that, was to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation and navigate that. And I think those were good things.
Yeah, that's such a cool way to look at it. That right there, that little snippet, just take that and send it out to the world. And so it's really cool way to think about it. So awesome. Very, very cool.
Well, this is an emotional talk, and I'm glad we had a chance to do it. I mean, anything else to talk about? Anybody else wants to talk about? Any questions that came in that people want to answer?
People had a lot of questions, I feel like, or they were just shouting McDreamy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I have to ask this because I just have to, because I'm still at the point in my life where if I was in your shoes, I'd probably be like, stop calling me that. My name is Patrick. And I just find it, like, to me, it's inspiring to see other people and how they handle situations that can be frustrating and how you can turn that around to be something positive or something you can manage and have it be helpful to you and make your life a better thing rather than getting frustrated by it. Like you mentioned the whole mental health and everything that's surrounding sports right now. And when Naomi pulled out of the French Open, it was like saying, hey, this is my life. And I would say we all want to see her compete for as long as she possibly can. So if she needs to pull out of the French Open to just take a breather, like, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Because I want to see you compete. I don't want to see you compete now. I want to see you compete forever. So it's like one of those things that just helps your longevity. And there's a way you can, what I've learned over my career is trying to find ways to talk to the media where even if it's a question asked with a weird tone or they ask something that makes me doubt myself, second guess, it's like, let it go in one ear, just respond to it, and then, or don't respond, and then let it go out the other ear and almost try to forget, because sometimes it is hard to manage what people say, what the expectations are. If people expect you to be McDreamy every single day of your life, and sometimes you just not there. But it's like seeing somebody who's been through so much more expectation than I ever have or ever will, and how you handle that is really cool.
Well, it's interesting because I ran into her at an event, and she's really quiet, really shy. And this is a great lesson for people. Sometimes, or they'll come off very, really rough and really gruff. There's a vulnerability there. And sometimes when you're like, you want to fight back, and you're like, oh, this person's that way. And you're like, wait a minute. I don't know this person at all. Yeah. I don't know the they're living in right now, and that's the shield that's protecting them. And these are the things I try to remember when I want to get combative with someone, or someone cuts me off, or someone makes me I'm like, wait, where is this person coming from? And can I put myself in their position to kind of go, okay, can I be sensitive to that? Keeping the boundary, keeping my own self together here. But that takes time. That takes a practice in the morning, or something you can do to be able to center yourself in the morning. And I found, like, we were talking about the book by Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
About principles, and like, certainly I love, and I've got my phone on it, the Daily Stoic and Stoicism and these type of things. Like, everybody has their philosophy or their religion and whatever. I think it's really important for whatever that is for an individual is to hang on to something, have those practices to help us get centered, because we're living in a world with so much conflict. People are basically scared to death. They're very scared and they're lashing out. I've never seen anything like this before. And we've got to have compassion to each other, and for each other. And I think that's the hardest thing right now to do. And if you're not getting the support or that team effort around you, it's very hard to maintain it.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And just starts with every person, because you can't control what other people are doing, but you can control what you're doing and how you perceive things and how you react and respond. Do you get nervous for your races?
Yeah, always. So for me, it was really, so especially like when you're getting into the car before the race starts, there's so much energy going through you. And once you get in the car and you're active, you can focus, you're in the moment. But you have all these scenarios. And this goes for, I think, anything. If there's a public speaking or this is a live thing like this, you're nervous because your mind is so active and the thoughts are rushing in. You have the critic or you have the egomaniac. You have all these voices in your head. And it's, for me, the visualization of, like, especially driver changes. When you get in, you go through the motion. And you see it with skiers all the time. You're visualizing the course. It allows you to channel that mental energy and that anxiety and focus it. But you have to have everything in place. So if something throws you off your game, how do you reset and be able to get back to into that zone that you want to be in? So a lot of the lessons through racing and getting ready for Le Mans, there were a lot of eyes on me all the time. And, people make a mistake because they don't really talk about what you've done right on the track. They show you the spin, they do that, they talk about that, all the mistakes. So you have to be calm down. And the simple thing is to breathe, is to remember to just breathe. You take a deep breath and visualize. Those are the things that would help me with my anxiety.
Yeah.
Did you hear all that, or was it cut?
Yeah, no, I heard it cut out at the end, but yeah, breathing is one of the greatest tools out there, and it's controlled breathing, especially because breathing out of panic breathing is just hyperventilating, and that makes it worse. But controlled breathing is that's a tool I think probably every athlete uses, and a lot of people don't realize how helpful that can be. I mean, even I don't probably use it enough. Just on a daily basis, it helps you wake up. It can help you go to sleep. It can help you react to a tough situation in a better way. And yeah, super true. But that's good that you get nervous, because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one.
No, I never get, I always get afraid. Anytime I do a public speaking, I'm always petrified. And I have to really work on calming myself down and being present, which is the hardest thing. And then you have the voice in you that's the critic that just is trying to take you down, that you're like, that's not real. I can't listen to that. You've done this before. You know what to do. You've survived it. You can get through this. But it never goes away. I've learned to manage it, but it never disappears. You know, I always wake up with it. Or if I have a scene, you know, I have fear about it. You know, it doesn't go away. I just try to find the tools to allow me to kind of function in a way where I can get to my best performance, you know, or get to where I'm feeling centered, where I'm feeling open and present.
Yeah.
And I hate not. And that's like, you know, when you're behind, like I guess the analogy is like you're behind, you're not attacking the hill, you're behind and you're in your heels. That it's like, I hate being in that. I'm like, okay, I need to first identify it and then readjust and kind of get back up over the skis again. As a metaphor I'm talking about. I think those are the things, especially even when I'm in a scene, if I'm nervous and I'm not feeling right, I'm like, I got to breathe. And then that brings me back into listening to the actor or something like that.
Yeah.
But if I have a long monologue, those are the things where I get the most anxiety ridden about.
Yeah.
Because you be able to remember. If I'm moving, then I'm okay. Like the dancing and the talking and I have business, I'm okay. But if I have to sit still, I've got to be so focused. But that's all about your preparation again. Like if I put my time in on learning the lines, if you put your time in the gym, if you're running enough gates where you have the muscle memory, you're making the beautiful turns, it's like it's all about your preparation. The process is the product, someone once said to me, and I never quite understood that. And you're like, yeah, it's like every time you go to the gym or anytime you sit down to work on the script, anytime you do anything, the more time you put into it, by the time you show up. Oh, I was talking to Sophia Goja about this. She came to visit on set. I was shooting 2 of Devils. And I was like, so when you were at the Olympics, what was it like for you the day of? And she goes, you know what? I felt like I felt good because everything I prepared for brought me to this moment. So I knew what I was going to do. I forgot about everything else. And I knew it was there. The situational awareness was there. But all the preparation brought me to this moment. And I felt like I could own it. And I think that's the key going into everything is really, do you preparing correctly? Do you have the right team around you to give you the tools you need? So when that moment happens, when you need to get your gold medal moment or whatever that is in your life, you're there and you're comfortable and you're aware and you're present. Yeah. And it becomes effort.
Yeah.
It's transcendent when it hits.
Yeah. And that you can, like what she's talking about, you can handle, like you said, you can manage whatever comes. You can handle the situation when it does get a little off plan, because it normally does, and you're able to just kind of flow with that. So that's, yeah, it's so true. Somebody asked where your favorite place to ski is. They might have been asking that for me, but I feel like I would be more interested in knowing how often are you able to ski anymore?
Well, I have a place now in Deer Valley. I was like, I just had to make the commitment. I had bought a little place up there that's on the mountain. And as a family, skiing, since I was a little kid, skiing has always been a family activity where we all came together. And I think that's a great mountain for skiing. The kids have a great memory there. So I love going there and skiing. And of course, everybody's there for the U.S. ski team. So you never know who you're going to ski with. And that's always fun. And the kids are allowed to go. And then skiing in Europe is amazing. I mean, the tradition of it in like Switzerland and Austria. I mean, I went to Kitzbühel to watch the downhill. in person. And that was, so there's something magical about the mountains. It's scary. You're up there. It's challenging. It makes you go into your fear. And I think that's the beautiful thing about skiing, And that was my freedom as a kid. I wanted to be a skier. I wanted to be an Olympian, and I got to ski race, and that was how I got started. And it was the unicycle that in Denmark, was my idol at the time. And I've told this story many times. I was watching him in his dryland training program, and it was up close and personal. And I got the unicycle, and then lo and behold, the town I grew up in Maine, Buckfield, Maine, Benny Reel, Buckfield Leather and Lather was like a little vaudeville troupe with Paul McKinney, my shop teacher. They were all in this group, and they're like, Patrick, you ride the unicycle. Come and start performing. And then that's how I got into it. So it's like, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but skiing, yeah, it was like, I think, certainly.
I love the tangents. I live in the tangents, so it's totally fine.
It's like days ago or something on an Instagram post or something.
Yeah, we have well, it's probably sort of similar. Maybe I got into acting or the circus. When I was in second grade, we lived in little town, Lyme, New Hampshire, and the circus came to our school, this little elementary school that probably had, 300 kids in it or something. Probably less, to be honest. And they basically put the circus that came through town every year to stay and teach us how to do unicycle and juggling and all the fun things for 2 weeks. So every PE class we had, we were, in the gym unicycling and juggling and devil sticks and all this stuff. And it was just super, super cool, actually. I was looking back, I'm sort of astounded that I feel like that's not every elementary school experience. But anyway,
it was new Brazilian movement where they were doing all that. I think it's that sort of the hippy dippies, kind of vibe in Maine. It's very crunchy, and certainly Vermont, New Hampshire, where people do the summer fairs, and it was jugglers and vaudevillians and the mimes. It was always but that was my ticket out of this little town. Yeah,
it's so true. And it was so cool. And so my brother and I were obsessed with this. And we went home, we asked my mom and dad, we were like, can we get and so we got two, one for me, one for Taylor. And now I've sort of grown into the one for Taylor. It's a little too big for me, but we still have it. And every now and then we'll go out. But anyway, yeah, no, it's so true. It's really, those little East Coast towns are fairly eclectic, actually, more than people would think. But anyway, I feel like I've taken a lot of your time now, and it's awesome though.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad this worked out finally. Have a great summer.
Yeah, you too.
Good luck. What's going on with the fun? We've got the challenge. The Dempsey Center has the Dempsey Challenge, September 25th and 26th. If you want to get on a bike in Maine and ride around and support that center, that would be great. And we'll keep working together, okay?
That sounds awesome. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And make sure as well, tune into so you called it, what did you say? The Dempsey Challenge?
The Dempsey Challenge, you can go to the Dempsey Center is a center where we help people who are fighting cancer. We don't treat disease, we treat a person. And in order to keep the doors open and to make sure everything is free, and it's a bike event in September. And it gets people active, so you can either do the run, the walk.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, cool. Okay, well, I don't know. I might be camp, but that sounds super cool. So I'm gonna look, and everybody look it up too, and also tune into the Olympics this year.
Support the fund. What can we do if we want to help support the fund?
We're in a little bit of a transition phase, so there will be that information is going to be coming out pretty soon. Actually, I don't have a link to go to yet because I think we're revamping the couple things, but we'll be releasing that very soon. So yeah, stay tuned, and thank you so much for the chat. This was really cool.
Thank you. Have a great one. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you. And I still don't know how to end this. Woo.